Okay, we're about ready. I'd like to welcome everybody to Conscious Contact Speaker Group at Doylestown. My name's Ron. I'm an alcoholic. Oh, that's a pretty responsible. First things really quick. If you're not familiar with our group, first time here, we have a Facebook page, easy to follow us that way. We also have a website. You can follow that. You can go on Google and just ask for a Saturday night Doylestown 1 hour speaker meeting. Doylestown, PA, it comes up and it lists our speakers, the events. We do a lot of different things and we post a lot of stuff. In our Facebook page and back on that counter, there's some flyers there. We put flyers, if you have any flyers, anything to do with Alcoholics Anonymous, any events or any kind of special things that are going on, or any groups that you like to put out there that you feel bring a message of hope and recovery, we welcome your flyers to put there. And if you have them to post, please post them in the group and keep everybody connected, because what our group strives to do is to keep everybody connected to something eventful in AA. And there's something going on every night of the week in AA if you're willing to do a little bit of traveling in this tri-state area. Some amazing stuff, some amazing speakers, some amazing events, so that keeps us all connected. And I think that it's an environment of recovery. And that's really important to us and to all you guys. Where's Mr. Nick? Nick's going to come up here and chair this meeting. You guys have fun tonight. And one other thing I wanted to talk about too. I don't know how many of you guys were at our pig roast. It was a big success. Everybody loved it. We are going to put on another one. So if you'd like to get involved, see us after. We're going to put like another pig roast party, picnic event together. If you'd like to get involved with that, either do some work informing it and putting it on, because it is a big undertaking. So if you'd like to do that, see us after the meeting. We'll have that like 10:15 after the meeting or whatever. Nick, you got this?
Welcome to the Conscious Contact Group of Alcoholics Anonymous. My name is Nick and I'm an alcoholic. This is a 1 hour speaker meeting that meets every Saturday night at St. Paul's Lutheran Church, 301 North Main Street at 8:30 p.m. in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. The business meeting for this group meets every Saturday at 7 p.m. to 7:30 right here. The purpose of this group is to provide a consistent message of hope and recovery through God reliance and service to others through the practice and teachings of the 12 steps. We record all speakers so that others may benefit from their message of recovery. If you wish not to be recorded, simply ask. This is an open meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. The group would like to welcome everyone, especially newcomers. Is there anyone new or from out of town that would like to introduce themselves with their first name?
My name is Richard. I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Richard, welcome.
My name's Mickey. I'm from Westminster.
Hey, Mickey, welcome.
I'm an alcoholic, sorry.
Oh.
My name's Mike. I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Mike, welcome.
Justin, alcoholic.
Hey, Justin, welcome. Hey, Taylor, welcome. Hey, Christian, welcome. Excellent. The Conscious Contacts Group encourages sponsorship with anyone with working knowledge of the 12 steps and is willing to sponsor. Please raise their hands. Excellent. Are there any announcements from the floor for the good of AA? We have meeting lists and big books on easy terms. Please see myself or any home group member after the meeting. If you cannot afford a big book, the Conscious Contact Group will give you one at no charge. Anyone willing to make donations for the purchase of big books and CDs to help those who can't afford them can put donations in the jar on the table marked Big Book and CD Donations in the back. If you'd like a copy of any CD, speaker, past or present, please see myself or any home group member before or after the meeting. They are available free of charge. And I've asked Brian to please come up and read the AA preamble.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Brian and I am an alcoholic. It's good to be here tonight. It's good to be sober. This is the AA preamble. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and to help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And with that, we're going to have Milton come up here and read the 12 steps.
Milton, alcoholic.
You on?
One, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives have become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our life over to the care of God as we understood Him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for the knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs.
We have the 7th tradition, which states every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outright contributions. At this time, I'd like to pass around the baskets. We have no dues or fees, but we do have expenses. This group provides many services. Your donations cover rent, big books, CDs, events, and workshops. Also, there is absolutely no smoking on church property. Just walk out to the street, please. Please take a moment to silence all cell phones and limit movement during the meeting to avoid distractions. Now, which leads me to my speaker. A good friend of the Conscious Contact Speaker Group comes to us on loan from the Westminster Big Book Group in Westminster, Maryland, Mr. Mike M.
Mr. Mike M. I'm Mike, I'm an alcoholic. It always cracked me up to clap for a drunk, you know. My grandmother wouldn't do that. I think I'm going to lower that a little bit more, Ron. You all right with that? Yeah. Yeah, standing up on this podium, I can actually look you in the eye now. Yeah, well, I don't know where I'm going to start here, so I'll tell you. I was talking to Ron about how hot it is in this jacket. I don't wear a coat most of the time, so if I do take it off, don't get too angry with me. And I'm going to try my best. Now, Ron said you don't cuss up here, so I'm going to absolutely do my best not to do so. But it's a very difficult task for me. So I will do my best. If I offend anybody, I'm absolutely sorry. So I'm not a first nighter in AA. I came in here in 1980, and I was telling Annette down here my journey coming in this door here. And my sister-in-law came into the bar one evening, and I don't know if I told you how much I like to drink yet. Ooh, boy, I love to drink. Good God Almighty. I'll get to my sister-in-law in a minute. I come from a rich family. My father was out of his mind rich. He owned a construction company, and it was Pennsylvania and Maryland and Delaware big, and Virginia. So it was a good-sized construction company. So as a child, we lived on the eastern shore of Maryland. If anybody's familiar with that, I lived in the Tillman Island area. We had a 400-acre farm just outside Tillman Island. And life was good, man. Good God Almighty, life was good. My father was, everybody in the neighborhood knew him. I mean, everybody in that whole area knew him. And he was a stunt pilot. some of you guys are old enough to remember Wide World of Sports and stuff. My dad's flown on Wide World of Sports many times, in them air shows and stuff. And I was a little boy, and I got 7 brothers and sisters. And man, I tell you, I was watching them get Little League Baseball and Boy Scouts and private school and mini bikes and go-karts and cars bought and paid for, and then houses bought and paid for. And man, I was like, woo! Man, I'm sitting back thinking, God, man, I'm a little guy. I mean, I'm this big thinking, I'm thinking, I can't wait my turn, brother. I'm going to get a BMW. My brother driving around in some stupid MG or some kind of stuff, and I'm thinking bigger than that. I was grandiose when I was that big, man. I wanted it all. Dad took on a partner in his business, and he had this business since the 40s. And he took this partner on in business, and the guy was his accountant his entire time. And he took the guy on, and my father took to the field. He was estimating the work and making sure that everything was happening in the field correct. So he wasn't in the office any longer. So the guy obviously seen an avenue to get some money. So he started embezzling some money. It was big money, big enough money that my dad had to go to prison for tax evasion. So he lost his business. Pop lost the business. And man, I'll tell you what, it was like, oh God, it was a flip. I mean, overnight it was a flip. I watched, like I said, my brothers and sisters get everything under the sun handed to them on a silver platter. And I got a sister that's a year older than me, and a sister 3 years younger than me, and the rest of them, they're the ones that reap the benefits of Dad's money. I'll tell you what, Dad, oh man, it crushed Pop, because not so much that he lost the business, but Mom liked money. She liked money more than she liked Dad. She married another millionaire, and she rolled out. She left her kids and left us behind and left us in the dust, and it was, I'll tell you what it was like for me. It was exactly when Mom left. I'm not a mama's boy. We're a farm boy at the time. But I love my mama, and when she left, I remember it was a 1962 Chevrolet station wagon Impala, white one. And she's walking out the doors, and she's got 2 suitcases in her hands. And I'm hanging on one of the bags, and I'm like 6 years old. So you can see I'm not a giant now. And I probably weighed, 40 pounds, 50 pounds at that time. And she's slapping me. Get off of me. Get off of me, and slapping the hell out of me. And I was bawling, no, Mama, don't go, don't go. And she hit me enough to get me off the bag, and she got in the car, and down the lane she went, and I chased the car, and she was way, way ahead of me, and all I saw was the taillights in the dust just bowling off the back of the car, and crying. I remember laying over in the weeds, bawling like a baby because Mom done left, And I'll tell you what, my father loved my mom. God, he loved my mother. He loved her so much. I'll tell you what, she never came back. She died 5 years ago, and she was on Millionaire number 5. She could get them, man. I'll tell you, she was a good looker. You didn't have enough money, she'd go on the next dude. You know what I mean? You died on her watch, she's gonna get another one anyway. She's gonna load up. My father loved my mom so much. I'll tell you what, this is absolute truth. He never remarried. My father never walked around the house and called her a bitch or called her a whore or called her anything. He loved her. He loved my mom. And I can tell you, if she came back to him after going through 5 marriages and said, Johnny, I'm tired of running, I'm ready to come back home, my father said, come back home, Nancy. He loved my mother. He never remarried. He went out with a couple girls here and there, but he was never one of them steady old boys. But he loved my mother. So when Mom left, we moved on this side of the water. He lost the farm, lost the business, lost everything, lost his reputation in the community because he had to go to jail. And back then it was a bad news. If you were stealing from the government, buddy, you were in trouble. So it killed him. And when we came across the water and we got on the eastern shore, we live in an area in Baltimore called Catonsville, Woodlawn and Catonsville area. And we call ourselves a Woodlawn boy. I'm a Woodlawn boy. And Dad took the drink like a duck takes the water. You know, I tell you what, he started drinking. And he was not a drinking man. My father was a very, very loving father. And I didn't understand alcohol, not even a little bit. So this is what my life had become then. It was Cinderella. You know, I become the maid. Now, when we moved on this side of the water, 3 years had elapsed. I was 9 years old now. And my job now was, because Dad now was a workaholic and a drinkaholic. Man, he was a drunk. And so my job was to make sure that my two sisters, their clothes were clean. And they got dinner on the table, and the house, and the laundry was done, and the dishes were done, and everything was right in the house. And talking to Annette tonight, she was talking about Al-Anon, and you'll hear this more in Al-Anon than you hear here in the AA meetings. But I would call my father, and I would say, "Pop, I got dinner on the table. Are you coming home? It's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The girls had already been outside playing, and I got dinner on the table, and we're sitting down to eat. Are you coming up or not?" And my father would say, "I'll be right there, Mikey. Give me 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes. Well, you know, make it 10 because somebody just walked in. We bought a round of drinks. I'm shooting a game of pool. Let me finish this game of pool, and I'll be right up." You know, I believe my father. I mean, I believe him like not. I mean, I believe him. He's my dad. You know, and so me and the girls sit down there and we eat. Dinner's finished now, and I send the girls outside to play a little bit before they have to do their homework, you know, and I do the dishes. I wash the dishes and put Dad's dinner in the oven, and I call him again, and now it's 7 o'clock at night, you know, and I call the girls in and say, "You got to get your homework going," but while I'm talking to my dad, I say, "Pop, I got dinner in the oven." I said, "Are you coming home?" And the exact same thing he told me 2 hours ago comes out of his lips again. Somebody just walked in. I bought a round of drinks, Mike. He says, "Let me finish this game of shuffleboard or pool or whatever he was doing at that point." And he would say, "I'll be right up in 10 minutes. Hold the dinner for me." And I would hold dinner for my pop, you know. And now the girls, it's time to go in there and take a bath. Get in there and get your bath on, you know, and get ready for bed. And we'll watch some TV before you go to bed. So I'm cleaning up the house. I'm cleaning up, doing the lawn, maybe throw some laundry in, maybe wash the kitchen floor, do whatever I have to do before Dad comes home, because if shit ain't right, if it ain't right for Pop when he walks in there, because we had maids on the Eastern Shore, we had maids in the old home, had 10-bedroom house down there. It was a big house. I'm telling you, it was a monster. And but now there's no maids. I'm the maid. I'm the maid. And if it's not right, I'm gonna pay the price. And I don't know what the price is going to be. Some night it might be a hug, you know. I don't know about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I had never read that big book when I was 9 years old, you know. So I didn't know how Pop was coming in there. Now I'm going to tell you, if Pop come up there and he got out of the truck and he might stumble, I tell the girls, go, Donna, go, Denise, you go run now. Because if Pop's drunk, I don't know how he's coming in the door, and I'm going to protect them too, you know. I'm 9 years old. And Pop comes in the house and he might come in there, rip roaring, and he's going to whip somebody's ass that night. And it's going to be Mikey, because I'm not going to let him hit the two girls, you know. So I call Pop, you know, and the two girls, dinner time's over, dishes are done, everything's done, and I put them in bed. And now I'm watching TV and I fall asleep. And Pop comes home, and I don't know if it's 11 o'clock. Or 1 o'clock, or 3 o'clock. I don't know what o'clock it is. This happens time and time again. But when he comes home, I got dinner in the oven for Dad, and I had fallen asleep and forgotten it was in there. And my father jerks me up off of that sofa like I just tried to set the house on fire. And that's what he's screaming at me. "You little son of a whop, whop." And now I start taking ass whipping because I could have burnt the house down. Now I'm crying like a baby. He's beating the hell out of me and throwing me around the kitchen and telling me to make him another dinner. And now it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm a little boy, and I'm making my father a dinner at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I begin to hate my father. My 2 sisters are in there crying, "Don't hit him, Pop, shut up!" And he screams at my 2 sisters, "No, Daddy, don't do that." I'm screaming at him now. And I take more ass whippings. "Shut your mouth, boy. God damn it, how many times I got to tell you? Don't God, could have burnt this damn house down, And so I don't know what to think anymore. My father used to be the most loving father you ever saw in your life. And now it's not that way, So years of this go on. And I get tired of this, And my father doesn't come home a whole lot anymore, He's staying at the bar every single night late now. It's in the 60s, early 60s. I got my hair down to my elbows here. I got long hair. Back in the 60s, we all grew our hair long. Got pimples all over my face, I weigh about 75 pounds now, I'm just a little guy. And 13 years old comes around, and I had had enough of Pop. I had had enough. And I told him I'm going. I got a job down at Gwynn Oak Amusement Park. And I don't know, you guys certainly don't know about Gwynn Oak Amusement Park. Hurricane Agnes took it out of there in 1972 anyway. But it was an amusement park, and I went down there, and I moved into the park. I lived in a little 10 by 15 or 10 by 20 shack where they kept the saddles and bridles for the horses and rigging for the goats. I worked at a go-kart track. Not a go-kart track, a goat cart track. I'll tell you what, man, it was the greatest thing ever happened to me, boy. Never been to AA, but I can tell you I was fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. At 13 years old, I went to work down at the park, and I was in my glory, And I was fully self-supporting, so I felt good about myself. But I'd walk through Woodlawn in town, and people would say, "There's that little homeless boy lives down the park." And man, it would kill me. It would hurt my feelings. bad, because I was on my own, man. I wasn't collecting welfare or anything like this. I was working. I was working and paying my own way and buying my own clothes and eating my own marshmallow hot dogs and French fries and drinking Coca-Colas and adding to my pimples on my face. But every night there was a guy down at the park, and his name was Reds, and he worked on the horse track next to me, and he was an older gentleman, probably my age now, 60 years old, 62, and Reds would start up in the upper end of the park, and he'd holler back there, "Larry, hey Larry, I'm going up Monahan's Tavern and get something. You want anything while I'm up there?" And he'd go around the park, and he'd hit every station. There was probably 50 to 75 stations, and I'll say closer to 75. It was a lot of stations, and he'd come by my station every night and say, "Mikey," he'd holler back there over the noise of all the, the park going on, and I'd come running out there. He'd say, "You want something like I'm going up to Monahan's Tavern." Now, I'm 13 now, back then the drinking age was 18 years old. I don't know if you guys remember that, but at that time it was 18, but I was 13 years old and way too young to drink. But I'd tell Larry, I'd tell Reds every night, "No, Reds, no, not me. I got to be honest with you. I was scared to death of alcohol. I seen what it did to my dad. I didn't want nothing to do with it, But them guys were sniffing glue and smoking pot and doing trips and crazy everything you could imagine, and I didn't know nothing about that. But there was a guy that worked in the station next to me, man. He worked there at the horses. His name was Ernie. And good God Almighty, I know you guys are way, way too tough to talk about good-looking guys, but this guy was good-looking, man. Now look, I'm married 46 years now, but I got to tell you what, this dude, now look, it wasn't nothing like that. But my point of this is, I got to tell you, he was so good-looking every single night, every day. He got a new good-looking girl. Every day, come on, after the park closed down, we're going to smoke some doobies and drink some, why don't you come on back? Because at the end of the night, at the back of the park, there was a bunch of pavilions and picnic tables and stuff where people eat lunch throughout the course of the day, and we used it at night for party, So I was very interested in Ernie, because At this time, I got to tell you, the Sears catalog browse section was as far as I had gotten at this point. Now, I know you guys been knocking them down since you were 9, but but that's not my story, you know what I mean? I was pimple-faced and skinny and long hair with straw stuck in my hair and dirt in my hair from laying down on the ground. That's where I lived. I lived in a goddamn tack room where the goats lived. Goat boy. But I'll tell you what, I'd watch him every night. Ernie he always bought Strawberry Hill. There was a lot of guys that bought a whole bunch of different other stuff, and I watched some crazy stuff. It was like watching a show every night. Some guys were puking over there. Some guys couldn't hold on to the bottle. Some guys would bite the bottle. They needed... I'll tell you the story because there's one guy there. I actually saw the magic of alcohol. I saw the magic of alcohol. This guy's name was Larry. And Larry drank Southern Comfort, right? Now, he drank about a pint. Now, he'd only buy 1 pint every night, and he shook all day this bad. I mean, he shook horrible bad. I mean, he shook bad. So at nighttime, he would open that bottle, and he'd wing the cat back in the woods, and he would bite the bottle. He would literally bite the bottle, because if he tried to put it in his mouth like this, he'd go, ding, ding, ding. Larry bite the bottle like this, and he'd put it up, and he'd dump about, I'm telling you, 1.5 inches of that pint down in one shot, and I mean, it would projectile right back out. Boom! He's coughing his damn full head off, got veins sticking out his neck, his veins, and he's coughing, he's slobbering over there. His face is red, and I sit there and think, what's he drinking, gasoline or something? Christ, I ain't gonna touch that shit. I can tell you right now, I'm never drinking what he's drinking. For sure, if I ever do start drinking, man, he would do it again. And I mean, it would happen again. Bow! It would come right back out, and then, after a couple of those, he would take the bottle and he'd bite it like this, and he would throw it up and come down real quick now. He'd go, boom, boom, like this, he'd go, boom, boom. And he's puking in his mouth, right? He's going, boom, boom. This goes on until he's got this much left in the bottle. That's all he's got left. He's done. And then this is a half hour, half hour, 45 minutes maybe at the best of this going on. And then the ease and comfort, they talk about in the doctor's opinion, the ease and comfort. That's what happened. It happened. I watched it happen. Larry would throw his arms back on the picnic table, and he'd start telling stories. Now look, Larry was 18 years old, and he was talking about being a fighter jet pilot, test pilot, I'm sitting there thinking, if bullshit was electricity, he'd be a powerhouse, you know what I mean? I was sitting there thinking, nah, man, there's a lot of shit goes along with that drinking, And I saw that when I was this young, and I sat there and I thought, oh man, that's not me, brother. But I watched Ernie, so I'm going to go back to Ernie for a second, because it was like watching music, or if you could envision the most beautiful day. Ernie's got that cap off, and he does the same thing. He whips it back in the weeds, but he's got her. I mean, dynamite. He's got her, and I'm like, holy mackerel. So they start, he sips, and then he passes it over to her, and she sips, and like, nobody else in the park shares Jack, you know what I mean? They're like, you ain't touching mine. But Ernie's, he's a generous guy. He's sharing his wine, and they're drinking back and forth, and I mean, it's like, oh my God, it was beautiful to watch, They start kissing and hugging and rubbing and bumping, and the next thing you know, Ernie always carried a sleeping bag. So they would go around back behind the pavilions, and I'd sneak right on back around, and I'm watching what's going on. There it goes, man. There they are. Gold mine, brother. Oh my God, jackpot, brother. That's it. You know what I thought? This is what I thought. This is actually what I thought. The wine. It's the wine. It's the wine. She gets enough wine and she strips her clothes off. So Reg comes by my station about 3 weeks later, and I come skipping on out there. I peel off 67 cents, and I got me a fifth of that Valley High wine. I'm sure it's never seen a grape before, but they called it wine. Whatever it was, it worked, I gotta tell you, because I did like the boys, you know. I took the wine, whipped the cat back in the woods, and started pounding her down. And my wine, I don't know if you've ever drank that stuff, but it tastes like Kool-Aid. I mean, there's not even a bite to it. There's not even a, there's no grimace to your face. It's like Kool-Aid. So I'm pounding it down, brother. I'm drinking, I wasn't doing none of that stuff, I was having some fun drinking that stuff. And I had so much fun the very first night, I took my clothes off and danced on a picnic table. Little man. Boy, I'll tell you what, man. But you know what happened to me that night, I swear to God? The guys at the park were hollering, "Go on, little man, go ahead, Mikey, go ahead," and they were cheering me on, man, and the more they cheered me on, the crazier I got. I mean, I did some stupid shit that night. But I'll tell you what, man, I had arrived. I mean, it was like, yeah, somebody notices me, because my father said, "You're a loser. You're not going to amount to nothing. You're going to quit school. You're not going nowhere. You're a loser, Mike." So I thought I was a loser. But, man, when them boys started screaming and hollering at me, man, I thought I had hit the world, brother. I mean, finally I done made it, man. And I loved it. I loved it. I swear to God. So I drank that night, and I'll tell you what, I'm a blackout drinker from the very first night. Because the next thing I remember is the sun's starting to coming up, and I'm crawling on all fours. And I don't know where, from dancing on that table to crawling on all fours, there was a big segment of about 3 hours of time in there that I don't know where it went. I have not a clue what I was doing in that period of time. I don't know. And I was crawling on all fours trying to get back to the tackle room. I was puking my guts out. Now, by the time I got, it was a good 100 yards, to get there. And by the time I crawled over there, man, I'll tell you what, I was dry heaving, ralphing and earling so bad, man. My stomach was aching, man. I got into the tack room, man. I laid down. I sleep on straw. I don't have a bed there, So I'm laying on straw, and apparently when I fell asleep that night, I was still sick. I was still getting sick, because when I woke up the next morning, that shit was all stuck to the side of my head. I get up, and the bale of hay comes up with me, Like, oh my God, I peel that stuff off. Oh my God, my breath is horrible. Man, oh my God, I stink. Man, I'm horrible. Man, I smell like hell. My hair is all stuck together. Got, straw all stuck in my hair and dirt. Oh my God. There's not a bath in amusement. There's not a shower in amusement park, So I got to go to, there's a river back there. It's called the Gwynns Falls, So I got to go to the Gwynns Falls and shower quick, man, because I am stinking, brother. I'm reeking. I don't like me. I mean, like, holy Christ. I get to the Gwynns Falls, I shower up, and I'm coming back, and now I got this cotton mouth, man. I was like, God, my God, all day long now I couldn't get enough water in me. My mouth was dry all day long, and I was thinking, oh my God, my head hurts. Oh God, I feel like somebody stuck an axe right in the top of my head. Holy Christ, what the hell is this? And man, I was promising to myself all day long, man, it's got to be that. It's got to be the wine. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not doing it anymore. And I will tell you, it wasn't 4 hours later, here comes Reg. Hey, Mikey, I'm going down Monaghan's, and I skipped out there and gave him 67 more cents. I mean, all day long, I swore to God, that's my first drunk on my own ever. I have had sips of Dad's beer. I have never felt the effect produced by alcohol prior to that night. I can tell you, alcohol was a beverage for me prior to that. And man, I tell you, I was like, oh my God. But when Reg come by there, just like it says in the big book, you don't remember a week or even a month ago. Mine was, 4 hours ago. Bang, I bought another fifth of that wine. Same dumb shit that I drank yesterday, I'm drinking it again right now. And I started drinking on a daily basis right then. I got to tell you that, and it took me years to come into AA to figure out what the heck was going on here, but I know that alcohol turns this thing off. It turns it off. You know, I have friends of mine that come up to the table, come up to the podium, and they'll say, man, alcohol stopped working for me. And I say, you weren't drinking my kind of alcohol. It never stopped working for me. I'll tell you what, that shit knocked me out every time I drank it. I swear to God, it turns this thing off. It's the only thing on the face of this planet that makes me go, oh, God, I feel good when I don't feel good, you know? I could feel bad, drink a couple drinks, and tell myself that I feel good, you know? I could go home. Because of Ernie, I married a beautiful, beautiful, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, big-busted, fat little butt girl, man. She was so pretty. She is beautiful. I mean, absolutely beautiful. And that poor girl, we started dating when I was 16 years old. And I'm going to tell you, I told you when I started, we've been married for 46 years. But for the first 16 years of her life with me has been absolute hell. And I was telling Annette tonight, I said, if my wife had done to me what I had done to her, I would have left. But the absolute truth is I would have shot her. I would have shot her. I'm not afraid to do that. I'm not gonna, yes I am. But you know, when I drink enough, I shot a guy when I was 18 years old. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and brag about that shit. That's absolute insanity. That's crazy to shoot another person. Absolute crazy. You know, that's selfishness and self-centeredness to the maximum. You know, he got in my way. He got in my way. And I got him out of my way, you know. I'm the kind of guy that when I drive drunk, I drive right into the side of your car. Bow, you know, watch bodies fly around in the other side. Throw it in reverse, back up, and take off, man. I don't sit there. No. I might lose my driver's license. What driver's license? I don't even have one, you know. I'm driving on somebody else's tags right now, too, you know. So, but I'm afraid to go to jail, and I'm going to say again, I got 7.5 years behind the bars of jail because of that kind of stuff. It's all because of drinking. This poor wife of mine, I would go home. I could tell you a million stories. I was, I'll say this one, and I was a vice president to a steel company, and I made a ton of money, just like my father. You know, I'm not the owner, but I'm the vice president. I made a lot of dough, man. So I thought I was somebody. You know, I had made the grade, but my wife never saw my paycheck. Never saw my paycheck. She was a nurse. And I was telling Ron, at one time she was a carpenter. She worked on the Harbor Tunnel in Baltimore, you know. She was doing all kinds of stuff to make money because I drank. I drank all my money. And because I always wanted to be somebody, I would walk in the bar and go, set them up, set everybody up. Because now I'm a somebody, you know. And I would spend every penny I got on your friendship. I was trying to buy your friendship, you know. I used to talk about all the friends I had. Man, I got a lot of friends, you know. And I'll tell you what, my sponsor told me to stop. Anyway, that poor little girl, I swear to God, she put up with some stuff. And it got to the point where I was asked to leave my place of employment. You know, he never fired me, I could tell you that. I stand up in these rooms a lot of times and say, I've never been unemployed. I've never been fired from a job, never been, you know, all this, you know, and I haven't, you know. I've been asked to leave until I got sober, and then you can come on back, you know. And I would come back, I wouldn't come back as a vice president. I'd come back as a project manager. Or then I'd come back as a foreman. And maybe I'd come back as an iron worker. You know, I'm wearing my little spud wrench tonight. I'm an iron worker, that's what I do, I'm an iron worker. And I would lose my job. I mean, I wouldn't lose my job to get fired, but I wouldn't have a place to work. So I'd go down to the bar and hang out with the people and try to see if my buddies would buy me a drink, you know. All the guys I've been buying drinks for the last 7, 8 years, you know. Shit, not one of them would sit there and buy me a drink, you know. I was an asshole, too. I was one of these guys, that would, I'm one of these guys that would, you would walk by me and look at me. I'm sitting there, I'm just sitting at the bar, and you would walk by, go into the bathroom, and look at me. You wouldn't say anything. And I'd say, what are you looking at, asshole? Don't know why I said that. Don't know why I called you a butthead. I don't know what it was. But I'm a little guy, and I generally say that to bigger guys, and then they want to fight. So here it goes. I'm not turning down nothing. And I come off of there with a long neck Budweiser bottle, put it in his grill, bust somebody up. 2 people in the bar might tell me it was cool, man, seeing you beat that guy's ass, and but there would be 100 of them when they're going, call the cops, get him out of here. And I only heard the 2 going, you busted his ass, boy, And I didn't hear things correctly. I didn't hear the 100 saying, get him out of here, call the cops. He just put somebody out of their work for 9 months. I just damaged somebody's brain or whatever the case may be. I didn't care. When I was drinking, I cared nothing about you at all. And I didn't care nothing about my wife. I got 2 beautiful sons. Oh, I didn't care nothing about my sons. I didn't get Little League Baseball. They didn't get it either. I didn't get private school. They didn't get that either. They didn't have a father who was worth a damn, is what it boiled down to. I was a drunk at this point. I was a nothing. Just like Dad said, you're a zero, Mike. I don't have a job. I'm not a vice president. I'm a nothing. My wife gets a restraining order against me because I come in and I steal everything in my own house. I steal my tools, I steal her jewelry, I steal the TVs, I take my kids' Xbox and their games and I go to the pawn shop so I can get the next drink. And now I'm living outside. She's got a restraining order and I can't be a quarter of a mile from my wife and kids. My house. This is my house. I paid for that house. And my father would babysit my children. And while my wife was working, and I was out in the woods, 2.5 years now, my hair's down to here again. I got a beard down to here. I got dirt, leaves stuck in my hair and sticks stuck in my beard, and I got dirt in every crevice in my body, and I bum money. I climb up inside of dumpsters to get out of freezing cold rains. If you've never done that before, keep drinking, If you've never had to eat a stale donut or a hot dog that's been rolling around on that thing in the store there for the last 3.5 hours, keep drinking. You might eat one of them someday. If you've not done that, I say keep drinking. I never thought in a million years a vice president of a steel company, Mike Martin, eating out of a dumpster, sleeping inside of a dumpster. I never thought that was going to happen to me, The big book Bill talks about alcohol had become his master. It had become mine. Nothing mattered to me. Nothing but the next drink. Kids would come through the woods and say, Mr. Mike, would you go up to B.J. Mallard's Tavern and buy me? Yeah, buddy. Buy me a sandwich and a goddamn pint of whiskey. I'll get you whatever you want, son. And I was a parasite in the neighborhood. Buying kids alcohol and going down and buying dope for them too. I resent that. The big book says, you'll not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. I can tell you right now, there's some things I regret. I hated the way I treated my wife, In moments of clarity, I would sit there and cry and think, oh my God, Jesus Christ, what did I do? What have I done? I went to jail again, and this is hopefully the last time I go to jail. And in this jail cell, I asked, you hear it here in AA all the time, God help me, God please help me. You hear that. And I had been coming around AA, and I was telling Annette that my sister-in-law got me in here, and you have to invite me back now because I done talked way too long on what I was doing before to get into that story. So I'd like to tell you the way she got me into Alcoholics Anonymous. But I'll tell you this, while I was in that jail cell, Sherry got me in 1980. I came in AA in 1980. And my sobriety date's April 19th of 1988. So it took me 8 years of coming in and out of AA. They used to call me the AA yo-yo, down around my way. In and out, up and down, around the world, walk the dog, I wasn't about hanging in here in AA. Yeah, I'm Mike Martin. Man, goddamn, I'm a vice president of a steel company. That's what my mind always told me. My mind always told me, just like my dad's always told him he was a rich man. I always thought I was the vice president of Interlock Steelworkers. That's what I always thought. And the truth of the matter was, I'm a bum. I'm a drunken bum. I'm a liar, a cheat, and a thief. And in a jail cell, when I said, God, please help me, and I don't care if you believe this, but he pulled me outside of me for that long. Just long enough to see me sitting in the corner of a jail cell with all that long hair and that mud matted in my hair, with my fingers wrapped up my hair, sitting over there in a fetal position, wanting to cry and couldn't cry because there was 9 other guys in the cell. And I'm sitting there thinking, my God, Jesus, Lord, what in the world have you done to yourself? And finally I said to myself, I used to blame my father. I used to blame my wife, my employer. They're all asses, they're pieces of crap, treat me like trash. Well, I am trash when I'm drinking. I'll tell you what, man, he started running my mind backwards. God did. And in that jail cell, I had been coming around here for 8 years, and I had never read that big book. I had never read 12 and 12. I had never gotten a sponsor. I was a meeting maker. Down home, they talk about meeting makers make it, and I think that's a lie myself. There's criteria that go along with meeting makers that make it, And it sounds like this somewhere, like this in the book. It talks about find God, clean house, and help others. They make it. They're the meeting makers that make it. And they make it very handsomely. I've sat around here long enough now to watch it happen. And I wasn't one of them guys. I wasn't about to find God, wasn't about to help anybody. And I didn't understand cleaning house. So I consistently failed trying to get sober. I couldn't remain sober. And I tell you, in that jail cell, when God was running my mind backwards, somewhere along the line, the thought crossed my mind to go back to another treatment center. I've been through 3 of them already. I've been in 3 insane asylums and 7.5 years in jail and counseling. So I got a lot of time, to think about not drinking. And so I went to another treatment center, and I'm not going to beat the drum for the treatment center because they brought me right here to you guys. That's what they did. And my case manager told me, he says, Mike, tonight they're going to take you to a meeting. And I was in there, I had already detoxed. And he said, you get a sponsor tonight, and I don't care if he's a temporary sponsor or a permanent sponsor, I don't give a crap what he is, but you don't walk in this small group tomorrow without a sponsor. And I lied about that. I told him I had a sponsor, and he grabbed the telephone on his desk and shoved it across his desk, said, call him up. And I call it the porky pig disease. I went, But I called a guy, and I asked this gentleman to be my sponsor, after I had made a fool of myself. And this was hours later. But I called this guy, and I asked him, his name's Tom Taylor. I'm going to tell you his last name. I asked Tom to be my sponsor, and Tom said, Mike, I'd be honored to be your sponsor. And I thought, he's an idiot. Ain't nobody been honored to do anything with me, because you hang around me long enough, buddy, we're going to jail together, So I said, he said, Mike, before we go any further, I want you to understand this. He says, I'm an alcoholic just like you are. He says, the information I give you may kill you. He says, but the information in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous has saved millions. He said, I highly recommend you read the book. And I said to Tom, I said, if recovery is in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, Tom, I'm not going to get recovered. And he says, well, can't you read? When he said that, I thought he said, what are you, stupid MFer? I said, no, I can't comprehend what I read, Tom. I said, I can't read, I can't comprehend what I read. He said, but can you read, Mike? And I said, now I'm getting mad at him. 2 minutes ago, very humbly, I asked him to be my sponsor, but now he's asking me twice if I could read. And I said, look, I don't know how to make you understand what I'm trying to tell you, but I can't comprehend what I read, dude. He says, but can you read, Mike? And I said, look, MFer, I don't know how many times I got to tell you, I cannot comprehend what I read. And he says, can you read? Well, man, I'll tell you what, I started calling all kind of cuss words out there. Then, the next thing you know, I told Tom somewhere along the line, I said, listen, I know the alphabet. I can figure the damn words out, but they don't make sense, Tommy. It's just like looking at a box of rocks. They're just rocks, man. You know, they don't make sense. You know, they're just rocks. And he said, so we're going to buy you a dictionary. That's what we're going to do. Man, I got mad right then. I was real mad because, you know, I watched Tiger Woods, you know, get a sponsor. And Christ, he got $67 million for his first endorsement. I thought, that sponsor wasn't going to give me nothing. Man, he was going to buy me a damn big book. I mean, a dictionary. I got to tell you this. This is what Tom said to me. He says, Mike, once we got to the point where I told him I could read, I could figure the words out. Tom says, Mike, there's 164 pages to the meat of Alcoholics Anonymous. And he said the rest is personal. It's personal stories, just like you hear in an open discussion meeting. He said, so if you read one page a day out of that big book, starting on page number 1, and go to 164, you can go through the program, through all 12 steps, 2.5 times a year, 1 page at a time. And I thought, shit, a dumbass like me could do a page a day. Come on, man. There's 34 lines on a page, 24 hours in a day, a line and a half an hour. I think I could do that. I think I got it. I read page 13 this morning. You know, I've been doing this for 30 years now. You know, read 1 page a day. I've been through that book. You can do the math. I mean, I'm not that good. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, but I've been through it 2.5 times a year for 30 years. You know, that's a lot. That's a lot of time. Now, I quote it like a parrot now. You know what I mean? Yeah. But you know what? You hear this around here. That's talking the talk. There's a lot of people talk the talk. You know, in AA, you got to learn to walk the walk. You know, you got to learn to walk the walk. So I'll tell you what happened to me then. As a result of reading that book, you know, I started going to meetings every day. And I can tell you right now, I don't go to meetings every day, right now. But I probably do 4 meetings a week still, you know, and I started reading that book every single day, and I started reading the book with other people every day, and I had a lady named Elsa Cruz that I read at her house every Tuesday night, and I did that for my first 4 years of sobriety. Me and Elsa ran around for everywhere, went to conventions all over the place, and she couldn't drive, and I was a good driver. The company I worked for at the time, I told you I was vice president, they took me back as a foreman. They gave me a company truck, and my job, my sponsor made me start picking people up. You know, my job was to, I could, that's another story. 4 months later, my father invited me into his basement. I was living outside in that pickup truck. I didn't have a place to go. My wife didn't invite me. You know, just because I stopped drinking don't mean you're coming back and she's going to drop the restraining order and everything's wonderful. Wasn't that way. But my father invited me into his basement. When I would get on my knees, I'd ask this God of ours to teach me to be the best son to my father. Teach me, God, to be the best son to Dad. He's invited me into his house and gave me a break, you know. And in meditation, God would say, mow his grass. Mow the grass, Mike. Paint the house for your father. You know, change the oil in his car. Rotate the tires for him. Don't ask him, do it. So I started doing these things, and I can tell you, my father never mowed his grass again until he died. You know, he never did it when he died either. But I did that, and I took my father to, it's called Mr. G's on Route 40 down in Baltimore. And with me and my father, every Thursday, my home group's on Thursday night. Before I went to my home group, I'd go over and pick up my dad. My dad was right on the way, and I'd pick my father up, and we would go up there and eat banana split ice creams, you know, and talk about life, and talk about everything. And my dad would tell me the same stories. I listened to him 1,000 times. Matter of fact, I probably, 18 years of that, every week it's probably went over thousands, you know. I'm going to tell you what, right now, I'd give $1 million to hear him say it right now. I'll tell you the absolute truth. the hospital called me on, I was 18 years sober, like I said, when Dad passed, and they called me up. They called me up at my office. My whole family was over there when Dad was dying, my brothers and sisters. 3 of us are dead because of this disease. And the rest of them were in there, and I got in my car and I hightailed over to Howard County Hospital, and Pop was laying in the hospital, had tubes up his nose and tubes everywhere, and Tracy was, my dad was a big burly guy. And probably 240 pounds, somewhere around there, and now he's 80 pounds. 80 pounds. Cancer was killing him. And I walked into the room, and Pop, my brothers and sisters over there bawling like babies, and I walked in there, and Pop lit up like somebody just gave him $1 million, He smiled. Pop see me, he waves me over. You know the story. I go over there to Pop, he pulls me down into his chest. I can feel every bone in his body. And my father says this to me, and he said it loud enough for all of them to hear. He says, "I love you, Michael." He says, "You're my favorite son." And my father died in my arms right there, And I'm going to tell you, I bawled like a baby then too. I never thought in a million years I'd hear my pop say, "I love you. You're my favorite son." But when he did that, I'll tell you what, it was like, God, there's nothing else you give me. There's not another thing on this planet you can give me, But I'm going to tell you, he gave me a lot more. I got 2 sons that say the same thing. "I love you, Pop. You're the greatest thing in my life." My 2 boys say that to me. My wife and I'm going to tell you what's going to happen to me. It won't happen tonight. I'm going to get home too late. But 99% of the time when I go home after I leave a meeting, I go in my home, I walk in the house, and I walk right to the refrigerator, and I grab me a gallon of milk, and I take a belt right out of the bottle of milk, and I put it back in the ice box, and Candy's over on the sofa. And I would bet my paycheck she's there right this minute. She's a Netflix junkie. So she's watching a movie right now. But I walk over to that sofa, and I peel my shirt off, and I lay down on the sofa, and I put my head on her lap, and she pets me like a little dog, I tell you, I sit there and I thank God. I thank God, because I'm not living in the woods tonight. She's not calling the police on me. She's not trying to stab me, and I'm not trying to stab her. I'm not beating her up, and she's not beating me up. She tells me she loves me every single day. She packs my lunch for me every single day. She makes my dinner for me every day. I paint the house. I wash the dishes. I do the laundry. I do all that in my home. That's what God tells me to do. Make her life easy. And that's what I've done for the last 30 years. And I'm going to tell you something. My life is the greatest thing I could talk all night long about the things and the places I've been on this planet because of Alcoholics Anonymous. One of my favorite things I love to say is, I came in here a liar, a cheat, and a thief. And I was a Boy Scout leader teaching kids to be honest and loyal and reverent and kind and trustworthy and obedient. And I didn't learn that anywhere but right here. I turned my will and my life over to the care of God. And I'll tell you something. Suddenly, I realized that God was doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. So thank you for letting me share.
Let's thank Mikey one more time for coming out. 3-hour drive from Maryland. It's customary for us to form a line and thank our speakers. They come here at their own time and expense, and it's important that they know, if it touched you, and how much we appreciate them doing this for us. Our sister group is a Big Book Study, meets on Thursday, 7:30 p.m. at Salem UCC Church. We read the book slowly. We try to line our lives up with that and see if we can go on this program and recover. You guys are all welcome to come. There's flyers on the back. We have a nice way of closing if you care to join us, and thanks for coming out. Next week, Sarah, it's a ladies' night. We have a Sarah coming in from somewhere. Look at our website.